Hi, I'm Kristen Scott. I'm an education specialist at Jostens. I was a yearbook advisor for 12 years. And my fun fact is that I love illustrations of animals wearing clothing because I think they're hilarious. I'm going to talk to you about design trends today, what we're seeing out in the world currently and in yearbooks. We're seeing a lot of design that have a 90s vibe to it. So that poster on the far right is a Yola Tango poster, and it actually was designed in the early 90s. And you can see that the color and the style is not that different from what we're seeing today. It's not that different from the Lizzo picture right next to it in terms of color. The Lizzo picture, though, has some visual effects like the black and white image that's been colorized. It has the icons, the illustrations on top. The Just Dance logo has some outline type, which you'll see in a little bit. These are some of the other typography trends. So overlapping elements and type that really creates almost like a graphical image itself. We're seeing, like in the Squid Game ad, the letters where there's a line extending from the letters off the page. We're seeing bold, all caps type that has some letters or some words accented with using an outline. We're also seeing text interacting with icons. So in the design example on the far left, you can see that certain letters have been created using different shapes to make them look like letters. And then in the other two examples, you're just seeing kind of some simple graphics that kind of interact with the type to have a special message or to be kind of fun and playful. We're seeing lots of illustrations of people, so whether they're kind of simple, straightforward, shape-based designs like the one on the left, or maybe they're a little bit more in-depth, a little bit more sketch style or realistic like the one on the right, which is also an example of a monochrome spread that we're going to see in a minute. We're also seeing duotone photo treatment. So that's where we have kind of a color overlay over the color has been stripped out of the image. It's a black and white image, and then it has a color added in place. This is a great way to work in colors from like your theme color palette. We're also seeing photo treatments like black and white photos that have either a color overlay over them or kind of a pop of color added to accent or to contrast the black and white photograph. So let's look at some fun examples from yearbooks. I'm going to start with type, and I'm going to show you this all caps sans serif kind of bold headline font that we're seeing, which it's really great because it's super direct. It's really easy to like look at the spread and instantly know what the spread is about. Sans serif, again, just means it doesn't have the little feet on the end. And it's just, like I said, kind of bright, straightforward, and it's a real easy entry point for your reader. You can kind of accent this bold type like these folks have using the outlined text. So this is where they're still using that bold type, but they've maybe accented a specific word or letter just for effect. Sometimes they take that outline text and they fill it with a specific color. So like in the one on the bottom left and the top right, where those colors are kind of like offset just slightly. And then here in this one, the color is offset slightly where the blue bar is behind the words. And that's just kind of a neat, just a neat design effect, I think. It's a different interpretation of this technique. And then here, where you have the two different spellings of the word here, and they've made it a little bit more dramatic with that outline slightly further apart. And then on the one on the right, where the words spell out rise, you have the I filled in. And I also just really like the kind of playful interaction of the photo cutouts with the letters. This is some examples of experimental type. So the ones on the right are just, again, super fun. They're not that different from some of the ones we saw at the beginning, where the fall activities and going the distance, those words and those letters really almost create an illustration themselves. And then the one on the left here, I really like because we're having a lot of playful fun with the words. So where it says staying in the lines, there's a line through the word. Where it says button it up, there's a button where the O should be. The word hear me out has kind of noise added, like almost a noise effect added to the letters. And then we're in charge almost has this electrical current running through it. So we're just having a lot of fun with the typography. These examples show that line that extends for the letters off the page. You can see the music to my ears reminds me a lot of the Squid Game ad we saw at the beginning. And then this one here, where they've extended the line on the F, It's just a fun way to almost kind of block off that one module on this modular layout to kind of give it a little bit of space from the others. And then down here, the line, instead of extending from the letters, it's woven through the letters. And that's just a different variation on kind of this style or technique. Let's look at some image examples. So I said we were going to see some realistic illustrations. These are just probably started out as photographs and then became either, line art drawing, or maybe had a filter applied to create this effect. But it just adds a little bit of interest, a little bit of complexity to these layouts. Here we have the icons illustrations. This style done by Trinity High School is used throughout their book, and it's just a really different way for images to interact with the text that they have on the page. And then here we have the illustration interacting with cutouts in just kind of a fun and playful way. And here's another one where the illustration is behind the cutout, and it's also a black and white image, so we have a little bit of mix of different things that we're seeing there. The next one are photo cutouts, and these have an outline effect, which is a really fun way to just take your cutouts to the next level by bringing in some of your theme colors to kind of emphasize the cutout. And cutouts are a great way to get additional coverage of your student body. This one has a background that has a gradient applied to it, and we'll see something similar a little bit later when we look at the duotone images. So here are some examples of black and white photos that have color added for emphasis. So either the color is added to the background to bring in those theme colors, or maybe the color is added to the background for contrast. Maybe the color is added for identifications for contrast. This example up here, it's essentially a color photo where the transparency has been adjusted so much that it is almost looking like a black and white photo that's slightly colorized. That's just, again, just a different variation on this style. This is an image where it almost looked to me like the color levels had been adjusted because there's so many different shades of yellow in the dresses. And it's possible that actually there were just different shades of yellow in the dresses in the performance. If you do, go in and kind of alter specific styles to be a little bit brighter, to have a little bit more intensity, that's totally cool, super fun, and a great way to create something that's eye-catching. It just becomes a photo illustration at that point. Some other photo treatments that we are seeing are duotone images. This one at the top left, I really like a lot from Whitney High School, where the duotone image is behind the dominant photo, and then a little piece of it kind of comes back up out of the bottom as this cutout that's layered on top, and it just adds some depth and interest to the spread. I love the black and white image in the top right that has a color element called out. And then down in the bottom left, I really like this dominant photo that then has a transparent color bar over top of it that then has a cutout over top of that of the person who was in the same spot in the dominant photo, and just again to add those layers and that depth and interest to that spread. And then the last thing we're going to look at are monochrome layouts, which is essentially when you have a spread that basically has one color that's used at kind of different tints or transparency levels throughout. And so the big one here is obviously the different shades of purple. And then in this one here that has a little bit of orange, I'm really loving up in the top right corner where the headshot elements have kind of an orange background, but the orange background fades from a more intense orange to a lighter orange over the course of the module, which is kind of a playful take on a gradient. And then I also really like in this monochrome layout how they've used the different shades of green for the infographic to kind of express the different numbers and the percentages, so that also adds a little bit of reader-friendly use of color. And that just brings me to the last thing I wanted to show you, which is the Pantone color of the year. So our color for 2022 is a periwinkle, which is not quite pastel and it's not quite like a bold, bright color. It's kind of somewhere in between. And then I included the others so you could kind of see the color of the year is often bright, but it does sometimes we do get a lighter color. So it could be time for one. It could be fun for you to kind of try and predict what's going to be the color for 2023 and to just think about that. Or just pick colors that work really well for your yearbook and for your school. So I hope you have a great year. I hope you've been inspired by some of these examples, and I look forward to seeing what you make.